Hi, my loves. Welcome back to the Starscartel channel. If you don't know, I'm Star. The message I heard is you're going to have to trust me. The scripture comes from Sirach 18 and 20. Before judgment, examine yourself, and in the hour of visitation, you will find forgiveness. God said for somebody you feel bad for something that God led you to say or something God led you to share. God says that in reality, you don't know the reason as to why he led you to share that. You don't know the reason as to why he led you to say whatever it is that he has you to say. Sometimes we don't even know when somebody is thinking something. You know what I'm saying? Like, God knows the matters of the heart. God knows things that we don't know. Like, and I'm trying to say it in a way like, it could be a situation where someone is already planning some kind of evil against you, or the thought crosses their mind. Maybe somebody comes to them with an idea that is not in your favor, and you are undeserving of that person doing that to you. God says sometimes he will lead you to say something that will it will cause them to be like, okay, I shouldn't do that, or to change their mind. And sometimes it may not even change their mind, but it may be a warning to them. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes we don't even realize when God is doing this. But I've experienced this before. You know what I'm saying? I've experienced times where somebody will be plotting something on me. Somebody will be planning something. And God will lead me to tell them, like, regardless if I would tell them something that happened in my past to somebody that did something similar, unprovoked. It wouldn't even be a situation where I knew what they were planning, but it would be a situation where I will be talking to them about something I've been through. And simultaneously, while I'm telling this, they get that idea, they get the clue, they get the hint from the Holy Spirit, as I say that they shouldn't do that for one reason or another. Sometimes people don't even realize that you are a blessing to them, and they assume that you are more so a curse, and they try to treat you as such. And God will have to show them that no, you're not a bad thing. It's not, whatever it is, you're not trying to bring them any evil. You're not trying to bring them bad. You're trying to bring them good. And if they do something in order to cause you bad, in order to cause you evil, then they will have to deal with God's judgment. In reality, I know it's a hard position to be in, because you know what I'm saying? I've also seen so many times when somebody would be thinking something bad, they will get a warning from God that it's bad and they shouldn't do it. They will do it anyway, and then God will get them and they shouldn't have did what they did. And sometimes it can make you feel guilty. It can make you feel bad and make you feel as if you did something wrong. But God said, in reality, you didn't do anything wrong. They shouldn't have even thought to themselves it would be a good idea to do to you what they decided to do. They shouldn't have even took out the time, effort, and energy to think of the plan that they plotted against you. God said, in reality, whoever this is for, you are someone, when you come to anybody, when you are in a relationship with anybody, regardless if it's a friend, it's actually a relationship like your spouse or someone that you're dating, or if it's just a family member, you put forth effort to give them good, to bring them good, to bring them love, to bring them kindness, to bring them warmth. And it is not fair to you that while you are intending to bring someone else good, they are intending to bring you evil. That's not fair to you. And because of that, God is there protecting you. Because this is somebody, you don't really be defending yourself. You just give up. Like, I just feel like this is somebody, when someone does something to harm you, to hurt you, you just shut down. And even though it's not always a good thing to be that kind of person, the good thing about you, the good news is, God said the good news is he is on your side. And because he is on your side, he will always be there to defend you, even in a situation like this here. And because of that, God says before judgment, you have to examine yourself. So this could also be for someone that feels some kind of way about something that somebody told you or something that somebody said. There is something that God put it up on somebody's heart to say something, and you feeling like you need to attack this person. You feel like you need to go after this person. You feel like you need to go all in on this person. God said before you even fix your mouth to try to tell them that they wrong for what they said, they wrong for what they did, they wrong for what they thought, examine yourself. Did that cross your mind? Were you thinking of doing them some kind of harm? Were you thinking of breaking their heart? Did you really think about cheating on them? Did you cheat on them? Were you really thinking that you were just going to do them dirty? Were you thinking that you were going to, you know what I'm saying? I'm even being reminded of the last message that I had. Were you thinking about taking a child from them? Were you thinking about, you know what I'm saying? What thoughts crossed your mind that would lead God to allow them to say whatever it is they said, or would lead whatever it is to happen to have happened? You know, don't put you have to really, like, you can't, as me personally, I'm not even going to keep saying you. Me personally, I'm the kind of person, whenever situations happen in my life, I always think about what did I possibly, or what could I have possibly have done for this to happen this way? What could have possibly, is it something that I said? Is it something that I did? And sometimes I will, you know what I'm saying, look at myself and I will see the wrong that I did. And then there are times where I will look at myself and say, I didn't do nothing. But in those times where I look at myself and see that I ain't do nothing, God will defend me. And I just feel like for whoever this is for, God is saying, like, you may never understand God's ways, because his ways are not like man's ways. But God will prevent us. He will put forth effort we have free will to do whatever we want to. But he will send signs, wonders, dreams, visions, all kind of things to prevent us from making a mistake. Anyways, that's the message. God said, if you examine yourself first, instead of judging somebody else first, in the hour of visitation, you will find forgiveness. God said, for whatever thought, this is a thought, or this is something that crossed somebody's mind, you were feeling some kind of way, or maybe you were told something, you had a conversation, there is something that happened, and it provoked God to react and give you a warning. God said, you don't understand, he has put people under the wrath for less. He has put people under his foot for less. And because of that, you have to check yourself in some situations. You know what I'm saying? Even like, and I know me personally, I do too. There are situations where I have to check myself, because I know I'm not always right. I'm only human. So there are situations and there are times where I'm going to be wrong. And there are situations and there are times where I wasn't wrong. But I check myself if I was. And God is saying, for whoever this is for, there are situations and times where you need to actually take out the time to check yourself. Did you do something to provoke God to do whatever it is he did? Did you do something to provoke somebody to say whatever it is they said? What happened? And like, in this matter, by you doing this, God says when he does visit you, instead of you receiving the wrath of God, you will receive compassion. You will receive love, healing. But you can't go about it and think that you can do no wrong and that everything you do is right. And you know what I'm saying? Too many times I have run across people that all they think about, they really just feel like they are just so perfect. And they could never do no wrong. And it, like, you know what I'm saying? They could never this and they could never that. And they dot. And in reality, you know what I'm saying? Making all kind of mistakes, doing all kind of wrong. I get tired of people telling me one thing and I keep note of it, because I'm the kind of person I remember. Just as my memory works to such an extent that I can remember dreams I had years ago. You know what I'm saying? I do keep note of recents. Sometimes I don't even remember. I don't take note down, and God will bring it to my mind, bring it to my memory. But I remember dreams that I had years ago that I posted on here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just being real. I don't have to go back to the video or find the video or, you know what I'm saying, look into my repertoire to try to find it. I remember. I remember what people tell me. I remember. And it bothers me when I bring that up to them and they tell me they didn't say that. They didn't say that. They said this, that. No, I'm not trying to. I remember what you said. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, also, I'm not finna sit and argue with nobody. I'm not finna sit and argue with nobody. You know what I'm saying? And just like I remember what was said to me, I know when something wasn't. I know when there's something that, like, you know what I'm saying, that is unknown. I didn't know. Anyways, I just feel like God is saying when it come down to it, this is for somebody. You are feeling some kind of way about something that someone said to you, feeling some kind of way about something that God said to you, or a sign, a dream, a vision. God said he's trying to let you know before it happened. He's trying to let you know before it happened. And you know what I'm saying? Regardless of what it is. Because even thinking back on, you know what I'm saying? It, like, whatever it is, you know, you have to think about what, like, just like I said in the last message, sometimes we have to think about what could possibly happen. What, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what, you have to think about the bad things that can happen before they happen. Because there are not always, nobody's perfect. And you know what I'm saying? Just because somebody makes a mistake does not mean that you have to completely destroy them because of that mistake. And you know, I'm even thinking about in that vision, in that message, in that dream, of how, you know, the male counterpart thought the woman was trying to keep the baby from him, and the woman counterpart thought the man was trying to take the baby away. And you know, in either point of view, him cheating is not equal to him not being able to be in his child's life. Her being out with her family and spending time with her family and leaving after he cheated is not equal to her not being in her child's life. So I feel like God is saying, like, that, like, don't allow a message to make you feel angry or make you feel anxious or make you feel some kind of way, because in reality it is only to prevent certain things from happening. Like I said, when it comes down to it, I always like to try to think of the worst case scenario before it even happened and what I would do to solve that worst case scenario. Even when you think about situations like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a difference between somebody having a one night stand and somebody building an entire relationship with somebody else outside of the relationship they in. And there are certain situations where you can fix it. You know what I'm saying? But absolutely checking out after you did wrong, and you know what I'm saying, in an attempt to carry on punishing your person is not going to fix anything. And like, you know, simultaneously, sheltering yourself and being to yourself and completely cutting somebody out is not going to fix anything. I just feel like a lot of people don't realize that marriage and building a relationship, a serious relationship with somebody, is all about, first of all, building a strong foundation and building it with someone that you feel that they are worth it for you to not want to let go of them, because nobody is perfect. You have to find a person that is perfect for you with their flaws and all. And, you know, you have to be willing to build that relationship. And it don't mean that you should be with somebody that's constantly disrespecting you, because that's not fair to you. You should be with somebody where y'all are both putting forth the effort to build the relationship. Y'all are both putting forth effort to actually make it work. Because if it's only one person trying to make it work, it ain't. And you know what I'm saying? It have to be both. And you got to get to know the person, because you have to understand what are their ways of showing you that they actually putting forth effort to make it work. That's the message. That's the message. God says it's a warning. And you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I receive messages that are about the past. Sometimes I receive messages about the present. And sometimes I receive messages about the future. And regardless to if it is intended to help with understanding, if it is intended and healing, the healing process of someone, or maybe it is intended to help someone make decisions and to how do you say, maneuver their way through life, or if it is intended to help someone with things that may happen in the future, or you know what I'm saying, so it won't be too much of a big shocker and to you. And sometimes it's for the wow factor, because I have had dreams. Before I went to the desert, I was having dreams about the desert. I had dreams about people that I met out there before I met them, and it shook me. And I'm just sharing that to say that there are some times where God already know what's about to happen before it do. And you know what I'm saying? The wonders and the like you the I can't even explain the wonder of God. His ways and things of the nature. You know what I'm saying? There are dreams that I had when I was a child. Some of them have came true, and it shook me. And there are some that still haven't came to pass, but I receive reassurance from God that they will. I'm saying this to say, for whoever this is for, God would never tell you anything to cause you any pain or to hurt you, but to help you. And once again, examine yourself. And there are times when I come on here thinking that the message is going to be for somebody else, and baby, God will get on me, okay? And that's just what it is. I'm just saying, examine yourself. Examine yourself. Humble yourself before the Lord. And it's not to say that you have to think about yourself as less than, but you, in reality, you do. When it comes to you coming before God, ain't nobody on his level, period. The angel's not even, like, you know what I'm saying? God is God, and that's just what it is. We are his creations. So when it comes down to it, you always have to humble yourself before the Lord. And you have to understand that he said what he said for a reason. Regardless if you want to accept it or not, it's on you. I've met people that wouldn't accept what God had to say. And baby, when they had to learn. Anyways, that's the message. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Deuces.